Hey, what is up YouTube? It's Malone here, and I'm here with another great video for you guys today. Today I've got a Magnus Chase audiobook. This is chapter 11, 12, and 13 that we're going to be doing. I've got me a little Starbucks. My room's a little bit of a mess, so I'm sorry about that. Got me a ramen, and I got a bunch of cups everywhere. I've been working on a bunch of stuff. I've had a whole bunch of, kind of side work that I'm doing. I've got some side jobs. At the same time, I just got back from the movie theater, and I've been out for 8.5 hours, so if I seem kind of tired, that's probably why. I did have a good time though, and today is my birthday. I actually finally made it to my birthday. I'm still alive, and it feels great. Let's go ahead and begin. Alright, Chapter 11. Pleased to meet you. I'll now crush your windpipe. I collapsed on the grass. Gazing up through the tree branches at the blue sky, I had trouble breathing. I hadn't had an asthma attack in years, but I remembered all the nights my mom had held me while I wheezed, feeling like an invisible belt was tightening around my chest. Maybe you are wondering why my mom would take me camping and climbing mountains if I had asthma, but being outside always helped. Lying in the middle of the atrium, I breathed in the fresh air and hoped my lungs would settle down. Unfortunately, I was pretty sure this wasn't an asthma attack. This was a complete nervous breakdown. What shook me wasn't just the fact that I was dead, stuck in a bizarre Viking afterlife where people ordered pig heads from the room service menu and impaled each other in the lobby. The way my life had gone so far, I could accept that. Of course I'd ended up in Valhalla on my 16th birthday. Just my luck. What really hit me for the first time since my mom died, I was in a comfortable place, alone and safe, as far as I could tell at the moment. Shelters didn't count. Soup kitchens and rooftops and sleeping bags under bridges didn't count. I'd always slept with one eye open. Could never relax. Now I was free to think. And thinking wasn't a good thing. I'd never had the luxury of grieving properly for my mom. I'd never had time to sit and feel sorry for myself. In a way that had been as helpful to me as the survival skills my mom had taught me. How to navigate, how to camp, how to make a fire. All those trips to the park, the mountains, the lakes. As long as her old beat up Subaru was working, we'd spend every weekend out of town, exploring the wilderness. What are we running from? I asked her one Friday, a few months before she died. I was annoyed. I wanted to crash at home for once. I didn't understand her frantic rush to pack and leave. She'd smiled, but she seemed more preoccupied than usual. We have to make the most of our time, Magnus. Had my mom been deliberately preparing me to survive on my own? Almost as if she'd known what would happen to her? But that wasn't possible. And again, having a Norse god for a dad wasn't possible either. My breathing still rattled, but I got up and paced around my new room. In the photo on the mantel, 8-year-old Magnus grinned at me with his tangled hair and his missing teeth. That kid was so clueless, so unappreciative of what he had. I scanned the bookshelves, my favorite fantasy and horror authors from when I was younger. Stephen King, Darren Shan, Neil Shusterman, Michael Grant, Joe Hill. My favorite graphic novel series, Scott Pilgrim, Sandman, Watchmen, Saga. Plus, a lot of books I'd been meaning to read at the library. Pro-homeless tip, public libraries are safe havens. They have bathrooms, they hardly ever kick out kids who are reading, as long as they don't smell too bad or cause a scene. I pulled down the illustrated children's book of Norse myths my mom read to me when I was little. Inside were simplistic pictures of happy smiling Viking gods, rainbows, flowers, and pretty girls with blonde hair. And sentences like, the gods dwelt in a wonderful and beautiful realm. There was nothing about the Black One Cert who burned baby carriages and threw molten asphalt. Nothing about wolves that murdered people's mothers and made apartments explode. That made me angry. On the coffee table was a leather-bound notebook titled Guest Services. I flipped through it. The room service menu went on for 10 pages. The TV channel list was almost as long, and the hotel map was so convoluted, divided into so many subsections I couldn't make sense of it. There were no clearly marked emergency doors labeled, exit here to return to your old life. I threw the guest services book into the fireplace. As it burned, a new copy appeared on the coffee table. Stupid magical hotel wouldn't even allow me to properly vandalize things. In a rage, I flipped the sofa. I didn't expect it to go far, but it cartwheeled all the way across the room and smashed into the far wall. I stared at the trail of dislodged cushions. The upside-down sofa, the cracked plaster, and leather skid marks on the wall. How had I done that? The sofa didn't magically right itself. It stayed where I had thrown it. The anger drained out of me. I'd probably just made extra work for some poor staff member like Hunding. That didn't seem fair. I paced some more, thinking about the dark fiery guy on the bridge and why he'd wanted the sword. I hoped Cert had died with me, more permanently than I had, but I wasn't optimistic. As long as Blitz and Hearth had gotten away safely, oh yeah, Randolph too, I guess, and the sword itself, where was it? Back on the river bottom? Valhalla could resurrect me with a chocolate bar in my pocket, but not a sword in my hand. That was messed up. In the old stories, Valhalla was for heroes who died in battle. I remembered that much. I definitely didn't feel like a hero. I'd gotten my butt kicked and my guts cannonballed. By stabbing Cert and toppling off the bridge, I'd simply failed in the most productive way possible. A brave death? Not so much. I froze. An idea struck me with the force of a sledgehammer. My, my mom, if anyone had died bravely, she had. To protect me from. Just then, someone knocked at my door. It swung open, and a girl stepped inside. The same girl who had circled over the battle on the bridge, and then pulled me through the gray void. She had ditched her helmet, chainmail, and glowing spear. Her green headscarf was now around her neck, letting her long brown hair spill freely over her shoulders. Her white dress was embroidered with Viking runes around the collar and cuffs. From her golden belt hung a set of old-fashioned keys and a single-bladed axe. She looked like the maid of honor at someone's Mortal Kombat wedding. She glanced at the overturned sofa. Did the furniture offend you? You're real, I noted. She patted her own arms. Yes, it appears I am. My mother, I said. No, she said. I'm not your mother. I mean, is she here in Valhalla? The girl's mouth formed a silent. She gazed over my shoulder as if considering her answer. I'm sorry. Natalie Chase is not among the chosen. But she was the brave one. She sacrificed herself for me. I believe you. The girl examined her keyring. But I would know if she were here. We Valkyries are not allowed to choose everyone who dies bravely. There are many factors, many different afterlives. Then where is she? I want to be there. I'm no hero. She surged toward me, pushing me against the wall as easily as I'd flipped the sofa. She pressed her forearm against my throat. Don't say that, the girl hissed. Do not say that, especially not tonight at dinner. Her breath smelled like spearmint. Her eyes were somehow dark and bright at the same time. They reminded me of a fossil my mom used to have, a cross-section of a nautilus-like sea animal called an ammonite. It seemed to glow from within, as if it had absorbed millions of years of memories while lying under the earth. The girl's eyes had that same sort of luster. You don't understand, I croaked. I have to. She pushed harder against my windpipe. What do you think I don't understand? Grieving for your mother? Being judged unfairly? Being somewhere you don't want to be? Forced to deal with people you'd rather not deal with? I didn't know how to respond to that, especially since I couldn't breathe. She stepped away. As I choked and gagged, she paced the foyer, glaring at nothing in particular. Her axe and keys swung on her belt. I rubbed my bruised neck. Stupid Magnus, I told myself. New place, learn the rules. I couldn't start whining and making demands. I had to set aside the question of my mother. If she were anywhere, I'd figure that out later. Right now, being in this hotel was no different than walking into an unfamiliar youth shelter, alley encampment, or church basement soup kitchen. Every place had rules. I had to learn the power structure, the pecking order, the no-nos that would get me stabbed or rolled. I had to survive, even if I was already dead. Sorry, I said. My throat felt like I'd swallowed a live rodent with lots of claws. But why do you care if I'm a hero or not? She smacked her forehead. Wow, okay, maybe because I brought you here? Maybe because my career is on the line? One more slip-up and... She caught herself. Never mind. When you're introduced, go along with what I say. Keep your mouth shut, nod your head, and try to look brave. Don't make me regret bringing you here. Alright, but for the record, I didn't ask for your help. Odin's eye, you were dying. Your other options were Helheim or or... She shuddered. Let's just say there are worse places to spend your afterlife in than Valhalla. I saw what you did on the bridge. Whether you recognize it or not, you acted bravely. You sacrificed yourself to save a lot of people. Her words sounded like a compliment. Her tone sounded like she was calling me an idiot. She marched over and poked me in the chest. You have potential, Magnus Chase. Magnus Chase. Don't prove me wrong, or... From the wall speakers, a horn blast sounded so loudly it rattled the picture on the mantel. What's that? I asked. An air raid? Dinner! The girl straightened. She took a deep breath and extended her hand. Let's start again. Hi, I'm Samira Alabas. I blinked. Don't take this the wrong way, but that doesn't sound like a very Vikingish name. She smiled tightly. You can call me Sam. Everyone does. I'll be your Valkyrie this evening. Pleased to meet you properly. She shook my hand, her grip so tight my finger bones popped. I'll now escort you to dinner. She forced a smile. If you embarrass me, I'll be the first to kill you. Chapter 12. At least I'm not on goat chasing duty. In the hallway, my neighbors were starting to emerge. Thomas Jefferson Jr. looked about my age. He had short, curly hair, a lanky frame, and a rifle slung over one shoulder. His blue woolen coat had brass buttons and chevrons on the sleeve. A U.S. Army Civil War uniform, I guessed. He nodded and smiled. How you doing? Dead, apparently, I said. He laughed. Yeah, he'll get used to it. Call me TJ. Magnus, I said. Come on, Sam pulled me along. We passed a girl who must have been Mallory Keene. She had frizzy red hair, green eyes, and a serrated knife, which she was shaking in the face of a 6'7" guy outside the door marked X. Again with the pig's head? Mallory Keene spoke in a faint Irish brogue. X, do you think I want to see a severed pig's head every time I step out my front door? Could not eat anymore, X rumbled. The pig head does not fit in my refrigerator. Personally, I would not have antagonized the guy. It's built like a bomb containment chamber. If you happen to have a live grenade, I was pretty sure you could safely dispose of it simply by asking X to swallow it. His skin was the color of a shark's belly, rippling with muscles and stippled with warts. There were so many welts on his face, it was hard to tell which one was his nose. We walked past X and Mallory, too busy arguing to pay us any attention. When we were out of earshot, I asked Sam, what's the deal with the big gray dude? Sam put her finger to her lips. X is a half-troll. He's a little sensitive about that. A half-troll. That's an actual thing. Of course, she said, and he deserves to be here as much as you. Hey, no doubt, just asking. The defensiveness in her voice made me wonder what the story was. As we passed the door for half-born Gunderson, an axe blade split the wood from the inside. Muffled laughter came from the room. Sam ushered me onto the elevator. She pushed away several other Einarhar who were trying to get on. Next car, guys. The spear cage door slid shut. Sam inserted one of her keys into an override slot on the panel. She pressed a red rune and the elevator descended. I'll take you into the dining hall before the main doors open. That way you can get the lay of the land. Sure, thanks. Nordic easy listening music started playing from the ceiling. Congratulations, Magnus, I thought. Welcome to Warrior Paradise, where you can listen to Frank Sinatra in Norwegian forever. Tried to think of something to say, preferably something that would not make Sam crush my windpipe. So, everybody in floor 19 looks about my age, I noted. Or our age. Does Valhalla only take teenagers? Samira shook her head. The Einarhar are grouped by the age they were when they died. You're in the youngest tier, which goes up to about age 19. Most of the time, you won't even see the other two tiers. Adults and seniors. It's better that way. The adults, well, they don't take teens seriously, even if the teens have been here hundreds of years longer. Typical, I said. As for the senior warriors, they don't always mix well. Imagine a really violent retirement home. Sounds like some shelters I've been in. Shelters? Forget it. So you're a Valkyrie. You chose all the people in the hotel? Yes, she said. I personally chose everyone in this hotel. You know what I meant. Your sisterhood or whatever. That's right. Valkyries are responsible for choosing the Einarhar. Each warrior here died a valiant death. Each had a belief in honor or some connection to the Norse gods that made him or her eligible for Valhalla. Thought about what Uncle Randolph had told me. How the sword had been a birthright for my father. A connection, like being the child of a god. I was afraid Sam might laugh at me, but she nodded gravely. Many Einarhar are demigods. Many are regular mortals. You're chosen for Valhalla because of your courage and honor, not your heritage. At least, that's how it's supposed to be. I couldn't tell if her tone was wistful or resentful. And you? I asked. How did you become a Valkyrie? Did you die a noble death? She laughed. Not yet. I'm still among the living. How does that work exactly? Well, I live a double life. Tonight, I'll escort you to dinner, and then I have to rush home and finish my calculus homework. You're not joking, are you? I never joke about calculus homework. The elevator doors opened. We stepped into a room the size of a concert arena. My mouth dropped. Holy... Welcome, Samira said, to the feast hall of the slain. Tiers of long tables, like stadium seating curved downward from the nosebleed section. In the center of the room, instead of a basketball court, a tree rose taller than the Statue of Liberty. Its lowest branches were maybe 100 feet up. Its canopy spread over the entire hall, scraping against the domed ceiling and sprouting through a massive opening at the top. Above, stars glittered in the night sky. My first question probably wasn't the most important. Why is there a goat in the tree? In fact, a lot of animals skittered among the branches. Couldn't tell what most of them were, but wobbling along the lowest branches was a very fat, shaggy goat. Its swollen udders rained milk like leaky shower heads. Below on the dining hall floor, a team of 4 stocky warriors carried a big golden bucket on poles set across their shoulders. They shuffled back and forth, trying to stay under the goat so they could catch the streams of milk. Judging by how soaked the warriors were, they missed a lot. The goat is Hydran, Sam told me. Her milk is brewed to make the meat of Valhalla. It's good stuff, you'll see. And the guy chasing her around? Yeah, that's a thankless job. Behave yourself, or you might get assigned to that duty. Couldn't they just, I don't know, bring the goat down here? She's a free-range goat. Her meat tastes better that way. Of course it does, I said. And all the other animals. I see squirrels and opossums and sugar gliders and sloths, Sam offered. Those are cute. Okay, but you guys eat dinner here. That can't be hygienic with all the animal droppings. The animals in the tree of Laerder are well behaved. The tree of Laerder? You named your tree. Most important things have names. She frowned at me. Who are you again? Very funny. Some of the animals are immortal and have particular jobs. I can't spot them right now, but somewhere up there is a stag named Eikthromir. We call him Ike for short. You see that waterfall? It's hard to miss. From somewhere high in the tree, water ran down grooves in the bark and formed one powerful torrent that cascaded off a branch in a roaring white curtain. It crashed into a pond the size of an Olympic pool between 2 of the tree's roots. The stag horns spray water non-stop, Sam said. It flows down the branches into that lake. From there, it goes underground and feeds every river in every world. So, all water is staghorn runoff. I'm pretty sure that's not what they taught me in earth science. It's not all from Mike's horns. There's also snow melt, rainwater, pollutants, and trace amounts of fluoride and Jotun spit. Jotun? You know, giants. She didn't appear to be kidding, though it was hard to be sure. Her face was full of tense humor, her eyes darting and alert, her lips pressed together like she was either suppressing a laugh or expecting an attack. I could imagine her doing stand-up comedy, though maybe not with the axe at her side. Her features also seemed strangely familiar. The line of her nose, the curve of her jaw, and the subtle streaks of red and copper in her dark hair. Have we met before? I asked. I mean, before you chose my soul for Valhalla. I doubt it, she said. But you're mortal. You live in Boston. Dorchester. I'm a sophomore at King Academy. I live with my grandparents and spend most of my time finding excuses to cover for my Valkyrie activities. Tonight, Jid and BB think I'm tutoring a group of elementary schoolers in math. Any other questions? Her eyes sent the opposite message. Enough with the personal stuff. I wondered why she lived with her grandparents, and I remembered what she'd said earlier about understanding what it was like to grieve for a mother. No more questions, I decided. My head would explode. That would be messy, Sam said. Let's get your seat before... Around the perimeter of the room, 100 doors burst open. The armies of Valhalla swarmed in. Dinner is served, Sam said. Chapter 13. Phil the Potato meets his doom. Have some Starbucks real quick. Delicious. We were swept up in a tidal wave of hungry warriors. Einerhard poured in from every direction, pushing, joking, and laughing as they headed for their seats. Hold on, Sim told me. She grabbed my wrist and we flew into the air, Peter Pan style. I yelped, "A little warning?" I said, hold on. We skimmed above the heads of the warriors. Nobody paid us much attention except for one guy. I accidentally kicked in the face. Other Valkyries were also zipping around, some escorting warriors, some carrying platters of food and pitchers of drink. We headed toward what was obviously the head table, where the home team would have sat if this were a Celtics game. A dozen grim-looking dudes were taking their seats in front of golden plates and jewel-encrusted goblets. In the place of honor stood an empty wooden throne with a high back where two ravens perched, grooming their feathers. Sam landed us at the table to the left. 12 other people were just getting seated, 2 girls and 4 guys in regular street clothes. 6 Valkyries dressed more or less like Sam. Other newcomers? I asked. Sam nodded, her eyebrows furrowed. 7 in one night is a lot. Is that good or bad? More heroes dying means more bad things are stirring in the world, which means... She pursed her lip. Never mind, let's get seated. Before we could, a tall Valkyrie stepped in our path. Samira Alabas, who have you brought us tonight? Another half-troll? Perhaps a spy from your father? The girl looked about 18. She was big enough to play power forward, with snow-blonde hair and braids down either shoulder. Over her green dress, she wore a bandolier of ball-peen hammers, which struck me as an odd choice of weapon. Maybe Valhalla had a lot of loose nails. Around her neck hung a golden amulet shaped like a hammer. Her eyes were as pale blue and cold as a winter sky. Ganilla, Sam's voice tightened. This is Magnus Chase. I held out my hand. Gorilla? Pleased to meet you. The girl's nostrils flared. It is Ganilla, captain of the Valkyries, and you, newcomer. The foghorn I'd heard earlier echoed through the hall. This time I could see the source. Near the base of the tree, 2 guys held a black and white animal horde the size of a canoe, while a third guy blew into it. Thousands of warriors took their seats. Gorilla gave me one last stink eye, then spun on her heel and marched off to the head table. Be careful, Sam warned me. Ganilla is powerful. Also kind of a butt. The corner of Sam's mouth twitched. That too. She looked shaken, her knuckles wide on the haft of her axe. Wonder what Ganilla had meant by a spy from your father, but since my windpipe was still sore from the last time I made Sam angry, I decided not to ask. I sat at the end of the table next to Sam, so I didn't get to talk to the other newbies. Meanwhile, hundreds of Valkyries flew around the room, distributing food and drink. Whenever a Valkyrie's pitcher was empty, she would swoop over the golden vat, now bubbling over a large fire, fill her pitcher with yummy goat's milk mead, and continue serving. The main course came from a roasting pit at the other end of the room. Rotating on a 100-foot-long spit was the carcass of an animal. Wasn't sure what it had been when it was alive, but it was easily the size of a blue whale. A Valkyrie flew past, depositing a platter of food and a goblet in front of me. Couldn't tell what the slices of meat were, but they smelled great. Drizzled in gravy with potatoes on the side and thick slices of bread and butter. It had been a while since I'd had a hot meal, but I still hesitated. What kind of animal am I eating? Sam wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. It's named Saramnir. Okay, first off, who names their dinner? I don't want to know my dinner's name. It's potato. Is this potato named Steve? She rolled her eyes. No, stupid. That's Phil. The bread is Steve. I stared at her. Kidding, she said. Saramnir is the magical beast of Valhalla. Every day they kill it and cook it for dinner. Every morning it's resurrected alive and well. That must suck for the animal, but is it like a cow or a pig or... It's whatever you want it to be. My portion is beef. Different sections of the animal are chicken or pork. I don't do pork, but some of the guys here love it. What if I'm a vegetarian? What if I want some falafel? Sam became very still. Was that some sort of a joke? Why would it be a joke? I like falafel. Her shoulders relaxed. Well, if you want falafel, just ask for the left flank. That part is tofu and bean curd. They can spice it to to taste like just about anything. You have a magical animal whose left flank is made of tofu. This is Valhalla, paradise for warriors in the service of Odin. Your food will taste perfect, whatever you choose. My stomach was getting impatient, so I dug in. The barbecue had just the right mix of spicy and sweet. The bread was like a warm cloud with a buttery crust. Even Phil the potato tasted great. Not being a huge fan of free-range goat milk, I was reluctant to try the mead, but the stuff in my goblet looked more like sparkling cider. I took a sip. Sweet, but not too sweet. Cold and smooth, with undercurrents I couldn't quite identify. Was that blackberry, or honey, or vanilla? I drained my glass. Suddenly, my senses were on fire. It wasn't like alcohol, and yes, I've tried alcohol, thrown up, tried alcohol again, thrown up. The mead didn't make me giddy, dopey, or nauseous. It was more like iced espresso without the bitter taste. It woke me up, filling me with a warm sense of confidence, but with no edginess or racing heartbeat. This stuff is good, I admitted. Valkyrie swooped in, refilled my cup, and flew away. I glanced at Sam, who was brushing breadcrumbs off her scarf. Do you ever do serving duty? Yeah, sure, we take turns. It's an honor to serve the Einarhar. She didn't even sound sarcastic. How many Valkyries are there? Several thousand. How many Einarhar? Sam puffed her cheeks. Tens of thousands? Like I said, this is just the first dinner. There are 2 other shifts for the older warriors. Valhalla has 540 doors. Each one is supposed to accommodate 800 warriors exiting for battle at once. That would mean 432,000 Einarhar? That's a lot of tofu. She shrugged. Personally, I think the number is exaggerated, but only Odin knows for sure. We'll need a big army when Ragnarok rolls around. Ragnarok, I said. Doomsday, Sam said. When the 9 worlds are destroyed in a great conflagration and the armies of gods and giants meet in battle for the last time. Oh, that Ragnarok. I scanned the sea of teenage fighters. I remembered my first day of public high school in Elston, a few months before my mom died and my life turned to dumpster sludge. The school had around 2,000 kids. Between classes, the halls were sheer chaos. The cafeteria was like a piranha tank, but it was nothing compared to Valhalla. I pointed toward the head table. What about the fancy dudes? Most of them look older. I wouldn't call them fancy dudes, Sam said. Those are the Thanes, the lords of Valhalla. Each one was personally invited by Odin to sit at his table. So the empty throne is for Odin, yes. Well, it's been a while since he's shown up for dinner, but his ravens watch everything and report back to him. Those ravens made me nervous with their beady black eyes. Got the feeling they were taking a particular interest in me. Sam pointed to the right of the throne. There's Eric Bloodaxe, and that's Eric the Red. A lot of Erics. There's Leif Erikson. Whoa, but he's not wearing a metal bra. I'm going to ignore that comment. Over there is Snorri, and then our charming friend Ganilla. Then Lord Nelson and Davy Crockett. Davy, wait, seriously? At the end is Helgi, the hotel manager. You probably met him. Helgi seemed to be having a good time, laughing with Davy Crockett and chugging mead. Behind the chair, the bellhop Hunding stood, looking miserable, carefully peeling grapes and handing them to Helgi one at a time. What's the deal with the manager and Hunding? Sam made a sour face. Ancestral feud when they were alive. When they died, both made it to Valhalla, but Odin honored Helgi more. He put Helgi in charge of the hotel. Helgi's first order was that his enemy Hunding would be a servant and do his menial tasks for all time. That doesn't seem like much of a paradise for Hunding. Sam hesitated. In a quieter voice she said, Even in Valhalla there's a pecking order. You don't want to be at the bottom. Remember, when the ceremony begins... At the high table, the Thanes began banging their cups on the table in unison. All around the hall, the Einarhar joined in until the Hall of the Slain thundered with a metal heartbeat. Helgi stood and raised his goblet. The noise died down. Warriors! The manager's voice filled the hall. He looked so regal it was hard to believe he was the same guy who a few hours ago had offered me a sweet upgrade and a minibar key. 7 new fallen have joined us today. That would be reason enough to celebrate, but we also have a special treat for you. Thanks to Valkyrie Captain Ganilla, today, for the first time, we will not just hear about our newcomers' worthy deeds, we will be able to see them. Next to me, Sam made a choking sound. No, she muttered. No, no, no. Let the presentation of the dead commence, Helgi bellowed. 10,000 warriors turned and looked expectantly in my direction. Chapter 11, 12, and 13. I hope you enjoyed the video, and be sure to like, be sure to comment, and be sure to subscribe to my video. I've got more Magnus Chase, the Sword of Summer audiobooks coming up. If you want to check out any of my gameplays, and I do a lot of gameplays, I've got Forge of Empires, Wizard 101, and a bunch of Command & Conquer General Zero videos on my channel, so if you want to go ahead and check those out, be sure to do that. If you're not an audiobook, or if you're not into gameplays, I've got one other audiobook that's currently complete. That would be the Red Pyramid. I've got a playlist for that. I think it's on my channel, so you just scroll down a bit and you'll be able to find it. I've also got some drink reviews, and I think that's also on my channel. If not, I'll make sure to put it there. Convenience, you know. Yeah, so I'll be doing probably from here to the, from here on throughout March. I'll probably try to do 5 audiobook videos a day. There's about 70 chapters in the books. So if I do about 3 chapters per video, I can get quite a bit done. And in about 5 or 6 days, maybe 7 or 8, I should have the entire book done. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we can get the book done soon so I can move on to the next book. Because I've got, I got some new books. First off, I went to the store and bought a few new ones. And then I've also got another Magnus Chase book. I got the second one, Thor's Hammer. And I also have the second Red Pyramid book, and I've got to buy the third eventually. I'm going to buy it, and I'll do that probably, because the audiobooks take a while, it might be, and I'm sorry to say this, but it might be about 2 months before I can get the second one out. Or the third. I'll try and get the second Red Pyramid audiobook out probably at the end of March. So I'll be working on 2 or 3 books at the end of March. So I've got a lot of stuff to do. I'm going to be really busy. I'm going to have a job, first off. I've got work, and then I've got a whole bunch of audiobooks, and I've still got to keep up with my gameplays. So if I do miss a day, I do apologize. I've got a lot of stuff on my hands, and I do think I'll be able to manage it. I'm pretty good at managing stuff. But, if there are days where I miss an upload, I do apologize for that in advance. There is a reason for it, and I'm sorry, I hope you guys enjoyed, like I said, and see you guys next time on my next video. Peace out.